guys, it's Mesa with Kinsmade. Today we're gonna do some paper transfer decals for nail art. Sometimes you just cannot find a stamp that you want. Sometimes it's a local, your local high school football team logo. You're never gonna find that on a plate. Your own business logo. Disneyland stuff, things you might see in a magazine would be a great paper transfer. What it is we use, this is the product I was using, Wet n Wild Wild Shine Clear Nail Protector. I got it at the dollar store, and I just paint it right onto these little rectangles that came right out of my laser jet printer. I've heard you also can do it with inkjet. Mine only prints in black, which I actually like for this, just because everywhere the white is a void, which allows you to colorize your images, like I have done here. You can back color the same as you would do a reverse stamping decal, which I really like. What you're going to want to do is paint on, right directly onto the paper, a little rectangle of this Wet n Wild or a clear nail. You can use clear top coat as well. It's just probably a little pricier than the clear nail protector. You want to get at least two generous layers of coats of the polish down onto your paper. This needs to be once it dries, it needs to be a very leathery type of a decal, leathery type of consistency, because what we're going to be doing is wetting this in a water bath, like I've done here. I've just cut the paper out. This has already been polished. The polish is completely dry, and I'm just soaking it in warm water to get the paper to start breaking down and dissolving. And then I'm just going to use my fingernail, and I'm going to peel the paper directly off of that, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, right now what I'm trying to do is just get an edge of this to start to peel up away from the paper, you can see. And then I'm just going to kind of, keep working at that to peel more of the paper off, but I need two hands. Okay, and here's a good shot of the paper peeling away. Somewhat, one layer of paper anyway, peeling away, and I'm just going to continue to work this line until I have the decal free, which I do. I'm just going to continue to take off more paper. I'm going to use, maybe not this thumbnail because I'm already working on that one. I'm going to use just my fingernails, rewetting as I need to, just to get that paper pulp to keep on breaking down. Okay, this is typically easier with my thumbnail, but I'll try to show you. Just a gentle scraping motion, and that's why you want a pretty durable layer of clear polish on there so that it can withstand all of this scraping. Then when you think you have all of the paper off, let it dry completely, and any paper pulp that's remaining will be very, very obvious, and then you just right back into the water to soak off more paper, as many times as you need to. One thing you can tell is that the paper pulp really does not have any ink on it. The ink is staying on the decal, and that's where the magic happens. You really do want to get all of the paper pulp off, because that's going to make a break in your adhesion when you're actually putting it on your nail. It's going to put a barrier. It's going to make it come off a lot faster if there's any paper left over, so you want to be kind of patient with that. Once you're satisfied that the image, all the paper is off, then you can just go in with your different colors of paint and paint behind it. You do want to have the rough side up to paint on, and keep preserve the glossy side by leaving it down against your mat. I'm using a clear mat that I got from the dollar store, and I'm using my printable printable decal guide. You can get that on kinsmade.etsy.com. Okay, and I've laid out all of my decals on my mat just to kind of remember which nail they're going to go on. I've started this one already, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere the next one to my index finger. You can use a product called Super Dry that's available at the dollar store. It works really great for adhering decals, but because my decals are pretty sheer, even with the polish on the back, I'm going to go ahead and paint them on with a green just to make sure that they're very opaque. Now I have painted on one fingernail just a sheer coat, because a coat of paint, I already had base coat on there. I just put one sheer layer of paint. The important thing is, I'm putting the decal, which has several layers of paint, so I'm not worried about the sheerness of this. It's going to be plenty of coverage with the decal. You want to wait just a few seconds. The important part of this is that the nail is completely covered and your skin is clean. It'll help make this decal process a lot easier. Now all I've done is set it right on the top of my wet paint, and I'm just going to use my finger to go make sure that it's stuck down, and then I'm going to start to go to each side, and you can see that I'm getting a little bit of crimping. I'm going to use my other hand and try to get that all laid down nicely. As you work the dry paint or the dry decal onto the wet paint, it does kind of soften up a little and reconstitute, which probably helps quite a bit in getting a good adhesion. Anyway, as this dries, you just want to make sure that nothing is lifting, that it stays close down to the cuticle. You can see that the decal is hanging way over my cuticle, obviously, but it's not going to stick to my skin because my skin doesn't have any wet paint, and I'm just going to cut that part off later. Then you can see what I've done here is push down very hard with down into that little crack of my cuticle. I've used the orange stick and I've just kind of pushed against my cuticle and lifted the decal slightly just to make sure it adheres to the entire nail. And then what I'll do is I'll hold my finger against the tip of my thumb, and I'll use some tweezers, and I will pull this edge and cause the decal to break right at the edge of my nail. And here you can see how I'm pulling away the edge of that nail. Okay, so you can see that I do have a little bit of placement issues. I did get some paint up on the skin here on the cuticle. You can see I'm going to have quite a bit of cleanup, but on the other nails there's very little cleanup. On my pinky finger, there was so much white on her skin, and I was noticing how everyone else's skin was getting a little bit dull, just because that white that I used, that pearlescent, was rather sheer. So I went ahead and did this one on white base. I used my white OPI, and that made her skin pop a lot better. Next time I do this manicure, I think I will go ahead and do it on the white lacquer. I think it'd be really pretty that way. Anyway, I just need to hit it with the top coat, and that's how it's done.